Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Thursday, October 27th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. And today is going to be a fun show today. A little silly, but we're going to keep it fun. And to everyone joining us on any platform that you receive your podcasts, welcome. YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitch, wherever you guys are listening, welcome. Hey Frankie in Minnesota, how are you today? Hope you're doing well. Hey Brina, welcome. Welcome. And guys, today I'm going to let, in the intro, I'm going to let the song play, and then at the end of each day, each show, I'm going to try to have a different song at the end. So, but in order for me to publish, I have to do songs that have, I can get past the copyright. Anyone who's listening over on Spotify, I just got that up and running, so you guys are over there. And we're going to see. Let's see. And thank you, Brittany, for sharing the show. Always appreciate it. Okay, so we got a little group here today. Hey, crazy lady, welcome. So again, today's Thursday, and we're going to talk about superheroes. I actually had a conversation with my son last week where he may be interning this summer. He's very excited at Marvel because he's really into animation, and that's what he wants to do. And he's really, really good, y'all. Really, really good. So we were talking about superheroes and what have you. I said, I'm going to do a show on that. So that's why I'm asking you guys, if you want to be the main superhero or the sidekick. So, Crazy Lady says the villain. Okay. But Crazy Lady, the villain can also be the sidekick, don't you think? Yes? No? Is the villain always the main person? So, or the main villain. I guess I should have said the main villain, main superhero, or the sidekick. I actually would want to be the sidekick. But since my ultimate favorite superhero, if I have to say superhero or comic book hero, whatever, is Wonder Woman. Even when I was younger, and even when it was when Linda Carter was doing the show, which was, when I look back at it now, it was lame compared to what's out there now. But Wonder Woman was always just badass to me, So I would want to be Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman doesn't have a sidekick. She doesn't have a sidekick. Wolverine, okay. Wolverine, okay. So now, okay. Sabrina says, yeah, there's a main superhero and a main villain. Okay, if I had to be a main villain, that's hard because there's some really good main villains. Really good main villains. I would have to think about that one. I mean, crazy lady, you think being able to not only just kick butt, but to be able to use those wrist things that she has, those wristbands to stop bullets, bam, bam, boom, boom, boom. Yes, yes, I would love to do that. Okay, Tony was always Captain America team. Okay, welcome, Linda. Welcome. Um, okay, Brandon. So I have to ask you why you would want to be Wolverine, and crazy. I would want to ask you, um, what villain? And Minnesota and Frankie, if you guys want to chime in, or Linda, is there any superhero? Again, this is supposed to be a fun show, guys. We're gonna get silly today. Um, Superhero or villain or sidekick that you would want one to be? And actually, if I were to be a sidekick, I don't know. I'm trying to think what superheroes have sidekicks. I don't know. Um, Trying to think. And then I'm gonna throw in something else since it's mostly women in here today. Since it's mostly women here today, I want to know what superhero or villain would you want to date? So that's one. Linda, I tried to grab you. Let me send out another one. I tried to grab you. There we go. If you want to pop on. Um, Rita says, I like the knives. He's pretty to himself like me. Okay. Okay. Jean Grey fan. Venom. But he's a little of a villain, a reluctant hero. Okay. Minnesota says, Iron Man. You still say Wolverine. Okay. Are you sure it's not because of who played Wolverine, Brina? Oh boy. No, Wolverine is cool. He's pretty cool. Hey GP, welcome. Just talking about having some fun today. Would you want to be the main superhero, the main villain, the sidekick? And I asked the ladies this. I'm gonna ask you now since we have a gentleman in the room. If there was a superhero or villain that you would want to date, which one would it be? See, so you would like to be Venom, okay? Might be. Okay, Brenda says might be. Okay, all right. Even though I will say that what's his name? Who plays Wolverine? I see his face. I see his face. I can't help me out here. Come on, guys. Who plays Wolverine? Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman. I must say, Marina, as he's getting older, sorry, the just appeal is just not there to me for me anymore. Sorry, maybe 15 years ago, but now, uh, no, no, no. Even though there are some actors that, as they get older, yes, yes. Like you look at somebody like, I don't watch the show. I see his face. You all got to help me again. Grey's Anatomy, who was the main character before he left, called him McDreamy or whatever his name was. Um, he as he got older, yes, yes. But okay, so crazy lady, why Venom? You say he's a little of a villain and reluctant hero. Anybody? Anybody? GP man, would you want to be a superhero or a villain or a sidekick? And do sidekicks really? Do they really get their just due? I mean, for Batman and Robin, did Robin? I mean, did he get his just? I mean, Robin was a good sidekick. He did things. It wasn't just Batman. I mean, do sidekicks kind of get shoved off to the side? I mean, they save people. They're the hero. Derek Shetford was Dr. Dreamy. No, I'm not talking about him. The very first person. Oh, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name. Uh, I just don't want to be someone's side piece. Wow, that's an interesting way to put it. Okay, so um, is the sidekick always the side piece? Hmm? I mean, sidekicks can be relevant, don't you think, GP? Oh, yes, no. Oh boy. Okay, yes. All right. So, okay, so GP, I'm gonna ask you, what what hey Power Girl, welcome. What superhero has a sidekick that you think their sidekick is a side piece? And this is not just for GP. This is for anyone. Is there anybody who you all can think of who is a side piece? I mean, in the whole Iron Man thing and what have you, could any of those guys be considered a sidekick piece? Batgirl. Okay, okay, that's okay. Okay, you got me on that one. Okay, but Batgirl, she pretty much stands on her own. Does Batgirl have like a sidekick? Does she have like Batgirl and then there's Robinina or something? Oh boy. Oh boy, I'm looking at. See, that comment didn't come through over from YouTube. Okay, so no problem, crazy lady. No problem. So guys, okay, so did you guys ever watch um cartoons when you were kids? And like, who was the person that you wanted to be when you all went out for Halloween? Did you guys ever dress up in a costume and you guys were that person? I can be honest, I never did. Pepe Le Pew. I have not heard that in a long time. Yes. Yes, Brina. I have not heard that in a long time. Um, you dress up as Rainbow Bright ones. Okay. All right. They canceled him. He was creepy though. Okay. When I went out for Halloween though, and I didn't dress up in superheroes and stuff like that. My mother was really into to dressing up as a witch. She would always, I mean, I can show y'all pictures of my mother used to really get off on answering the door and literally. Did I ever tell you all about the squirrel that my mom had that's in formaldehyde? Did I ever tell you all about that story? Okay, I'm going to tell you all this story. I swear, honest to God, true story. Hey, crazy lady. You wanna add something before I
Story.
tell the
I want to hear
story?
the squirrel
From now,
story.
okay, you hear this story. Okay, this is a true story, um, and I swear I'm not making it up. Um, and I promise you guys, it's disgusting. Okay, so when we were younger, well, when I was growing up, my mom was a teacher. Okay, and she liked just to. She was one of those people where she would go out to in Chicago. I don't know if you guys have them around where you guys live. We have forest preserves, where people would go out and you have your barbecues and what have your cookouts, but they were forest preserves. And my mother would love to go out and get things for her class, especially for science and everything. So one day, um, she came home and she says it's not from the forest preserve. She says someone gave it to her, even though to this day I don't think that's true. She came home with this squirrel that was in a jar of formaldehyde. Freaked me and my sister out. We literally were hollering, screaming, "Leave it! Get it out of the house! No, no, no!" We were doing all of that. Okay, so over the years, the squirrel was in the garage. She was on a shelf in the garage, and over the years, again, this squirrel stayed in formaldehyde. And every so often, if we were in the garage, my mother would move it around. She wouldn't say where she would put it. She would move it around. So if we were in the garage looking for something, we would come across the squirrel, freak us out, and my mother would just laugh. I mean, she thought it was funny. Okay. Every Halloween, my mother would put the squirrel right by the front door, and she would have this light that would shine through it. But she would have this like a black towel that was over it. And she would do this whole thing and she would dress up as a witch. She had the mask and everything. I swear, guys, this is a true story. I have pictures, everything. Um, she would dress up as this witch, and everybody would always want to come to our house because it was like, you gotta see the witch and the squirrel, you gotta go see the witch and the squirrel. It was the same thing every year, but people, kids still got freaked out by it and everything. And in order to get a piece of candy, my mom said you had to look at the squirrel. Okay, so she would really very slow, and she did this all night long. She would take the squirrel, the covering that was over the jar, and the jar was not small. It was a big jar. I mean, the squirrel it was not like a little baby squirrel. I mean, it was a full size squirrel. She would lift it up, and she would be doing this. Hey, blood, then you're welcome. She would do all that, whatever. And, kids would be screaming and hollering, and, the parents would get a kick out of it and whatever. And again, my sister and I, as we got older, we just thought it was creepy. We thought it was dumb. We thought it was stupid. Mom, come on, you need to stop, blah, 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 blah. But they love the squirrel. Minnesota. Minnesota, she grew up and she saw the squirrel. Okay, so we grew up together. So all right. So when my mom passed away
She had the squirrel,
last
right?
year,
Please tell me she had the
I'm sorry,
squirrel.
what?
Please tell me your mom still had that squirrel.
Yes, yes,
Nice.
yes. She still has the squirrel. So my sister and I, we are cleaning out the house, and we get to the garage, and the last time I saw the squirrel was in 2018 when my dad passed away, and I was cleaning out some stuff, taking some stuff of some of my dad's stuff. And that's the last time I saw it, and it still just freaked me out. I was like, "Mom, you really need to get rid of the squirrel." No, no, no. I'm gonna keep the squirrel. I'm gonna keep the squirrel. I'm gonna keep the squirrel. So my sister and I, we go into the garage, and we're like, "Well, you go look." We're like, "No, you go look. You go look." Now, needless to say, we're talking about Chicago, where it gets cold and it gets hot and it gets cold and it gets hot and it gets cold and it gets hot. And this squirrel has been in the garage. So you can imagine what this squirrel has gone through. My sister and I find the squirrel. Needless to say, after being in the jar for years and 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 years, and yes, it is in formaldehyde. It still looks like a squirrel, but it looks like Frankenstein's squirrel. And we have had so many people who have asked us if they can have that squirrel. I mean, so many people who have said, "Are you all going to give away the squirrel? Can you give it to me? Give it to me? Give it to me? Whatever." And my sister and I, as silly as it sounds, we're literally trying to figure out what the hell to do with this squirrel. Because on one hand, we want to throw it out, but on the other hand, it's like part of our childhood. And then on the other hand, you have people who could seriously want it, so we don't know what to do with this squirrel, but it was very much a part of our growing up. And on Halloween, for at least a good 10 to 10 years, it was part of our block, whatever. So that's a story about the squirrel. Crazy says, I will buy it. So, anyway, yeah. So crazy.
That's some good epic stuff, man. Your mom is really like Halloween.
I'm telling you, and crazy lady, I'm telling you, because the squirrel. I mean, when you look at this thing, I mean, it's like if I look at it, I literally cannot eat for like a day or two because it's in my head, and
Yeah. So where's the squirrel right now? Like right now?
the squirrel right now is still at my parents' house. We have not my sister and I we have not sold the house. We still have this house, and right now it is in the basement.
I'd almost say I make a stipulation of the contract of the house. The squirrel has to stay. Come out every Halloween.
So yeah, but that's yes. The squirrel right now is in the basement, and to get it from the garage to the basement, my brother in law had to carry it because my sister and I are like, I'm not touching it, you touch it, I'm not touching it, I'm not. I mean, not that the squirrel's gonna pop out and whatever, but you never know. It was like, I'm not touching it, you touch it. So my brother in law had to carry it from the garage to the basement. But I will say this, Crucible, welcome. I will say this. Even though formaldehyde doesn't freeze per se, when something has when a jar freezes though, formaldehyde doesn't really freeze, but to see that squirrel in the wintertime when it's 30 below zero, um, it's not something that you want to see. It's definitely not something that you want to see. So I'll say I think Crazy Lady would give it a good. You know what? And Karina, as weird and as sad and as gross and as I don't know any other adjective that you can think of as it would be. I think Crazy Lady would give it a good home. So, but anyway,
I would. I'd
and
even
no,
name
this
it. It would no longer be squirrel. I'd like name it or some stuff like that. And
and you would
I
too, wouldn't you?
would.
Oh
It's better.
my
I thought,
goodness.
and I thought an eyeball in formaldehyde was weird, but that squirrel's like way better than the eyeball.
I mean, Crazy Lady, this squirrel is like uh, literally over 50 years old. So can you imagine?
I can. That's why I want it so much more.
I
Oh
mean,
my god, that would
it's
freak Ross out though.
I mean, it's something, and it's funny too because when we were in the garage going through the garage over the summer, and we had the garage door up, and you know, uh, um, some of my neighbors knew what we were doing, and some of my neighbors came by to say hi to me because I don't get a chance to see them that much, and they would say, are you all getting to the squirrel? Do you all find the squirrel? Is the squirrel still here? It's like literally they wanted to see this squirrel, and the squirrel was in the garage, and they did see it, and they crowded around it, and it was like, ooh, gross. And we're talking grown people. We're talking about grown people. Well, can you just keep it there for a minute? I want to go get my grandson. I want to do this. I want to do this. So we had people like come. Oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. And my sister and I just standing there, just like shaking our head. But if my mother was there, she would have loved it. She would have loved it. So, and I know we kind of went. It's a main attraction. It is. It is. Um, and we had people for Halloween when people would come. We've had little kids that would start crying and everything, and then my father's like, "Okay, pretty soon we're going to have a knock on our door. You're not going to be able to do this every year." And the kids would start crying, and then the parents would say, "Okay, come on," and then the parents would come back and they would look and blah blah blah. But yeah, yeah. So our house was the Halloween house, not because we gave out good treats, which we didn't, but it was because of the squirrel. So Brina says that was a good story. In a jar, also. Yeah, Brina. So crazy, you would keep it the half that was left. It is still a squirrel. It is still whole. It just looks
Yeah,
beat
well,
up.
it's over 50 years old, man. It's been fought
I
for.
mean, it has been, beat up. And the thing about it is, and I know we're supposed to be talking about superheroes today, but we went from the sidekick to me talking about the squirrel. But anyway, Damien, welcome. So the thing about it is, and I'm gonna get a little bit morbid here, and this squirrel is one reason why I don't want to be buried. Um, because I'm thinking if you're embalmed with formaldehyde, how are you going to look 50, 100 years from now, 200 years from now?
1,000 years from now, when they bury you, they'll be
I
like,
mean,
look, we
I
found
mean,
this
seriously.
artifact,
I mean, really. I mean,
right?
seriously. And that's one reason why I don't want to be buried. The other reason is because I just think of that movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow. Oh, that's the main reason, main reason I don't want to be buried. But Brina says, I like to be cremated. No point in my body sticking around. Brina, me too. Cremate me before the funeral. And actually, I don't even want a funeral. Don't even rent a casket or any of that stuff. Cremate me.
Well,
Put me in
they
a
have to
in
put
a.
you in a casket, but it's like a cardboard casket. It's really weird. I learned
Yeah,
that.
but okay. But I would rather be put in that and that get burned up than my family spending money on something that, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and actually, um, like with ashes, you don't even have to actually, if you don't want even like an urn, like the funeral homes has, you can put like because they'll give put your ashes in like a plastic baggie and like in a cardboard box and give it to your family like that. Um, they can put 'em, like any kind of container you want, you know,
Well, see, and then the thing about
or
urns,
spread out.
and the thing about urns, and I learned this with my dad, was the funeral home was charging like $400 on up for an urn. Whereas literally you can go online to the same place that funeral homes go to and get this exact same one for half the price or even less. So literally, we did do the, like Crazy Lady said, they put it in. It's not really like a baggie. They do it's in this the bag is pretty strong, but like you said, they basically just give it to you in a box, and then you transfer it over yourself. Let's see. Do you want your ashes to be spread anywhere? No, I would actually like to be. This is going to sound really crazy, Rena. I would hope I was on the mantle somewhere. But if not, I just don't want to be in someone's garage or in someone's basement in the corner, or 75 years from now when you're selling the house, you're like, oh, what's this? And it's like, oh, it must have been the people who lived here before. Yeah, I just don't want to be one of those. And if it were in the ocean, I would want it to be a clean ocean, not out anywhere here in California. No, 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 no. I don't think anywhere in America. Um, well, I take that back. If I were to be spread somewhere, it would be water, and I would want to probably somewhere off the, Hawaii or something like that. But yeah, I just don't want to. If you take me home, just don't stick me in a corner somewhere. Just don't put me on the floor. Oh, Dover is a blow
Yeah,
bubble
you know
jar.
those little jars that you blow bubbles with. You stick the little wand in it, and then you blow bubbles with.
You talking about the little plastic ones that when you
Yeah,
were little?
his family put like well the ashes that they kept for him, but like for everyone that like wanted a piece of Dover, they put him in like these little because the man always had blowing bubbles on him around him. He liked to blow bubbles. He was weird. But anyway, so when he died, his family, said, anybody that wanted a piece of him could have a little bit of him, and that's what they put him in. Was in these little bubble jars.
Okay, wait. So again, you're talking about the. Just want to be clear. The bubble jars that we got when we went to the candy store
Yeah.
and took out the little plastic thing, and we're blowing
Hmm.
the plat.
Yep. Except these are like, I don't know, like the wedding size. Like they're like really small. They didn't have any bubble stuff in it, but they his family
So
put.
how many of those did they pass out?
I never asked. I mean, they had like a whole tray of them, and there was only like three of them left at the end of his
Really?
wake. Yeah, I
That's
still
kind
got him.
of.
He's with all the rest of my dead people. I got quite a few dead people that hang out here. My stepmom is in an urn. My great grandmother, I finally got her in like a really old bottle I found out at an old homestead thing. Um, and I thought that'd be appropriate, so I cleaned it out. I stuck her in that, and I know she
I'm just
appreciates
listening to
it.
what you just said. You and I just cleaned it out and I stuck her.
Yeah, gotta put her in there.
See, I don't want to be stuck anywhere. I mean, at least treat me, at least pretend to go through the motions of treating me with
Well, I mean, she's
some.
right on my altar. I mean, I do it with love and but I was happy I got her into a jar because before that she was, in a plastic Ziploc baggie because I didn't
Oh
want anything,
wow.
you know, in my jewelry box. But I finally found her the perfect jar, and I cleaned it and I put her in it. So now she has a jar. I want to be put in a. I want like a little hourglass to be made, and some of my ashes to be put in an hourglass.
That would
That
be interesting.
that way, if anybody felt like they didn't spend enough time with me, they can have the hourglass and spend all the time they want with me.
Well, technically, though, ashes would not flow freely through an hourglass, would it?
Well, yeah, because
Welcome,
there's always those little bits
Solomon.
of bone. You may have to grind me down a little bit more.
Yeah, because
Shift through me.
sand.
Shift through
Yeah,
me.
because sand.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just shift me.
Well, I will say this though. To actually, it probably would because when you get um, Cree, what they call Cree mains, when you get them back, there are
Bits of
bits of
bone.
bones
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not just straight ashes and stuff. There are like bits of bones and what have you. So
Yeah. And my brother, he's in a, those like little containers that go on your keychain, like they're like little stash containers for weed and stuff.
hmm hmm
Um, the little bit ashes I have of him are in that. I mean, it's sealed, so it won't ever come open. But yeah, I even think there's a piece of weed in there because he really liked weed. But I,
so you guys, how many of you? And again, we totally changed this from superhero to now we're talking about death. But um, how many people want to be cremated?
I do. Burn me. I don't want to be eaten by no bugs.
And that's another thing too. You know, the whole bug thing. But have you guys ever seen the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow?
I haven't. I may have to watch it now.
You are going to have to watch it. It's with Bill Pullman. It's movies like from the 80s. Watch it. The movie will freak you out. It's about voodoo, black magic, spells, and
Dead people coming back.
well, yes and no. Bill Pullman is investigating. If I recall, he's investigating this murder, and he gets too nosy into like the black magic thing, and oh my god! And then there's this dinner table scene, and that movie just freaked me out so much because of something that happens in that movie when someone gets buried. I was like, nope, I'm not going to get. Nope, I don't want to be buried. I do not want to be it. Nope, 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 nope. But it's called The Serpent and the Rainbow.
See, and my son, he wanted to be buried. Um, and I remember him saying, I was like, why not cremation? He goes, it's too much like being burnt at the stake, Mom. I just feel uneasy about it. I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, I can see his point. his point, but I don't know. I don't know. I no, yeah, yeah. How many people want to be buried?
See, I don't think anybody wants to be buried.
I don't think anybody wants to be buried either. Anybody? Anybody want
And
to be buried?
ashes, you can carry your ashes everywhere. I mean, like when Kiss played here, I took my brother's ashes down there with me because he was a Kiss fan. So it was like, I don't know, sharing the moment with him, even though he wasn't like in this dimension. You know what I mean?
Okay. So I have to ask this question: do you guys believe in cremating animals? Like if your dog died, your cat died, your bird, whatever. Do you believe in, if not cremating them? Do you believe in like burying them in the backyard, or do you say your dog died, you call the vet or whomever, and they come pick him up, and that's it? Hey, D, welcome. Okay, your grandma cremated her dog. Okay, and what did she do with him? Is he like sitting on the mantle? And Blunt says, I cremated my Oliver 2 years ago. He sits on my mantle. Okay, pets are like family to some people. Okay, all right, all right. I don't know if I would cremate my dogs, but I would not be opposed to, if I didn't cremate them, I would, and this may sound silly to some people, I would put them in a pet cemetery. Okay, yeah, she puts them on the shelf somewhere. I always bury that did stuff. Now, see, crazy. I'm sorry. I can't stuff a pet. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it. I really did not like that dad's stuffed dog, but he really liked the dog, and the pose he had him in was like such a. He's like, just the always way he always looked when we were playing. I'm like, okay, Dad, that's a little odd, but okay.
Okay, all right. And Blunt says, I am to be buried one day with my Oliver. Okay, so I have to ask you guys this, and Blunt, I'm going to ask you this because we were talking about this the other day, in terms of inheriting, and I forgot what we were talking about, guys. I'm serious. We talked about so much stuff. Um, so, Blunt, would you be the person who, if when you die, you would leave money to your dog or your cat or whatever?
No, because they're not going to live that much longer. I mean, but like if it was like a parrot that like lives for like a significantly long, if I had enough money, I would like leave money to whoever like took care of that parrot or
But don't you think
whatever
that's
other
a
animal
waste of
lives
money? Because,
forever
but do you think
for their
that
care.
someone is? But do you think they're really going to do that? Do you think that that money is really going to, like, people leave millions to their pets? Do you think that that money is really going to that pet?
Well, I would hope.
I mean,
I would say yes because I have faith in humankind. Like if your dog died, or like if you died and you left me your dog for some bizarre reason, and you had like millions of dollars, and you said it's going to my pet. Check it out. That pet, I would use that money for that pet. It'd be a fly. I mean that pet would die.
okay, but so let's talk about this for a moment. So you have $2 million that has been left to this particular pet.
Right.
Dog food is not $1 million. No matter how well the dog eats, he's not going to eat $1 million, worth of food. He just isn't. You can go get him groomed. You can, dress him up. You can do all kinds of stuff. But how much is that? How much does it really cost to take care of a, a dog? So
I'd
either,
prob I'd probably open up like a sanctuary for like
okay,
other
now
dogs
that's
like him
okay. Now that's different than
in the dog's
giving
name. You know.
money to 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 the dog. Now, Blunt says, yes, if I had to ensure they are taken care of, but I'm not rich, so my animals are screwed. Sorry, amazing. Okay, but Blunt, okay, but how much money are you talking? Again, like Crazy Lady says, how much are you talking to ensure that they're taken care of? And picking the right person, and even that person, what if that person falls on hard times? It's like, okay, well, I I can't pay my bills, but hey, Maisie has $2 million sitting over here. How do you know that that person's not going to start dipping? And I mean,
There's got to be like some kind of stipulations or something in those clauses or something, But yeah,
okay, but it look and Damien said exactly what I said. Damien says millions of dollars, me and that pet will live the best life. So, Damien, if the money was left to your pet and not to you, you're not supposed to live the best life. The pet is. Dose, welcome.
well, I mean,
$100 a month. Let me hold something amazing. I mean, serious. I mean, I'm just saying that to me, people who leave millions of dollars to their pets. It's like instead of living, I mean, yes, you want your pet to be taken care of. I would want to give my pet to someone who I know would take care of them. But on the other hand, if you're going to spend that millions of dollars, then like you said, open up a sanctuary, give it to a shelter, whatever. But that's just me. Or I'm all for even having some type of organization that helps homeless people and their pets, because you have a lot of homeless people who absolutely will eat before be, they will feed their pet before they eat, and I would do something to make sure that pets were vaccinated and bathed and groomed and whatever. I would do something like that. And Brina said millions is extreme, but even thousands, Brina. I'm just saying that even if you left, I don't know, for some reason this past week I've been hooked on the amount of 50,000, but even 50,000, $10,000 is that's a lot of money to leave a
yeah, though, but like,
pet.
what if like something happened to your pet? Vet bills are freaking expensive nowadays. You
Yes,
know.
yes, and yes. Okay, vet bills are yes. If the dog or cat or what bird whatever had to have surgery or something, or even I have three dogs. Taking them to the vet sometimes, depending on what it is, it can be expensive. But for the most part, dogs, yes, depending upon what you feed them and the lifestyle that lead and grooming and all the other stuff, depending upon what you do, yes, it can get expensive. But thousands of dollars. And then Damien says, "I will tell the trust that the dog needs a Ferrari." So I'm just saying, guys, that I
I'm
don't
crazy, but
know.
I'm not that crazy.
you know and Crazy Lady, I know you love Jake, and I'm gonna ask you, you won the lotto, you have $100 million. Something happens to you, you're setting up, your will, your trust, everything. Are you leaving Jake, $10 million?
But no, I'm not leaving him $10 million. I'll like whoever is taking my dog, because you already know I'll have that stuff already set up. Um,
Okay.
whoever
Okay.
gets my dog, I would leave them like a sizable amount, to help with costs for taking care of my dog.
But the only problem that I have with that
Is
is,
if
and
people use the money for what it's supposed to be.
right, right. Is, are you going to use the money? I'm sorry. Who was that that just popped? Was Damien? Was that you? Hold on. Let me. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Um, the only problem I have with that is ensuring that that money is going to be used for whatever it was. Whoever that was that just asked to come up, I wasn't paying attention, and I'm sorry. I missed you, so you'll have to do it again. Um, you just have to make sure that that money is being used for what it's supposed to be used for. I mean, hell, you have people who
If they don't, I will haunt them
no, but you
straight up,
also
and they
have
know I
people,
will.
but you have people who, when children if they lose their parents or something, and their parents say, okay, we died and we left, all this money, please make sure our children are taken care of. And you have people who are taking money away from children, away from, I mean, that's not, money is not even being used for what it's supposed to be used for. Or you give money to a charity, and it went all into administrative costs. Money is being used to pay someone's salary, supposedly, or whatever. And meanwhile, the dogs, the cats, or the orphanage or whatever, they don't see hardly any of it. And that
Yeah,
happens all the
I know it
time.
happens. I mean, I don't agree with it, and I don't understand how people can like look themselves in the mirror and do that. Ca-
But but
I
people but people do. And Damien, hold on, crazily, I'm coming back to you. I just want to read what Damien says. He says people who use the money for themselves, even church folks, mismanage money. So crazy.
I mean, like a little mismanagement, but like like to blatantly say, you know,
A little mismanagement.
well, I mean, like if you like, I don't know. See, like I couldn't that a thought of doing that wouldn't even enter my brain, like ever, because I don't know, just the way I am, I mean, it's whomever entrusted me to do whatever, I'm going to do that because that's the last thing that they're ever going to ask to do for them, you know? And yeah, I'm just not going to pay back bad karma,
Okay.
you know?
All right. Bad karma. I like the way you said that. Crucible, welcome. Crucible, you there? I'm going to assume that he got a phone call. Oh, he must have got a phone call. Okay.
Or
So,
be like the Egyptians, have your animals buried with you.
wait, Crucible's coming back up. Okay, you there?
Hello, Solid. How are you? Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm kind of a little bemused by the conversation. I kind of get where you guys are coming from on this, but I know it's very much a human nature thing because we don't understand the afterlife. So all we can do is relate to our earthly experiences and apply them to other worldly situations where they may or may not fit. So we all know this, but sometimes I think we need to remind ourselves all of these things you guys are talking about. I don't want to be in the ground. There's going to be bugs, dinosaurs. I mean, you are aware that you're not going to be aware of any of this stuff, aren't you?
Well, I mean,
No one.
yes, but yes, but still, I mean, I still think, as silly as it sounds, Crucible, I still think that when you are, don't ask me why it does not apply to cremation, but for some reason, I think that when you are put in a casket and you are put in a ground, and you are put in a vault or whatever you call it, I just have this thing that some way, somewhere, there's an awareness that you have that you're in the ground, or you're locked in this box, and you can't get out. That's just how I think. I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you a question before I ask the question. It's funny that you should say, about being buried in one. I'm kind of claustrophobic these days, so the idea that I would be in the ground, it kind of upsets me a little bit. But again, I'm not going to be aware of it. But you mentioned the word awareness. The reason I was calling it was, well, I have a question, and this is a sincere question. I don't know the answer to it. Let's say you leave in your will, or you tell your family, I want to be buried for whatever reason. I don't like cremation. I want to be buried. And it comes time for the funeral and the service, and the family doesn't have the money for a full-blown burial. They're very expensive. Cremation is less expensive. So let's just say they had to make the decision. It was a monetary thing. They could not literally afford the burial part of it, so they went with cremation. Do you think there's any unrest in the person who's passed? Do you think there's karma to be dealt with for the people who defied the wishes? And maybe it wasn't a monetary thing. Maybe they just said, I don't like the idea of setting my loved one on fire. I don't mean to be so crude, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. So let's take the monetary thing out of it, because the monetary thing would be a forced situation. You didn't have any choice. You don't have the money. You don't have the money. Let's just say it was a philosophical thing. I don't believe in cremation, so I'm going to go with the opposite. I'm going to do the other thing. Does that affect anybody in terms of what happens to that person on Earth for defying the wishes? And is there any unrest in the afterlife for the person whose wishes were not um, adhered to?
Okay, I'm going to answer that, and then Crucible. I mean, Crazy Wave. You want to answer that? I do believe in karma. I do believe that spirits. I do believe in spirits, or whatever you want to call them. I do believe that, I can look down on you and see that this is what you did just because you didn't like it. I do believe that karma somewhere somehow. Yep, I do.
Yep,
Crazy
I'm
Lady,
the
you want to
same
answer?
way. Somewhere somehow, something is you're gonna pay. You know, just because whatever it's you know yeah. It's not. I don't think it's proper. You know, I mean, it's not you, it's them. It's what they wanted. It's their body. They want to be buried. Bury them. You know, that's what I look at it.
And Crucible, to answer the other question, I mean, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. I understand that, but for me, I have that taken care of. So no excuses, whatever. And if you do go back on my wages, I'm going to haunt you somehow, some way.
Well, and the
Yes,
reason
I
and the
mean,
reason I asked that is I went to a service last week. It doesn't matter who it was, but it wasn't a close person to me. But my nieces were involved. It was their father, and anyway, so they their father had wanted to be buried, and he didn't like cremation and whatnot. And they did talk about the cost. He didn't have a lot of money, so they were going to have to bear the cost of it. But they, instead of approaching it from a monetary standpoint, they tried to come at it from a spiritual and philosophical standpoint. And over the course of several weeks and a few months, they had conversations with him, and he actually came around to the idea of cremation, and he actually changed his mind once they started having these very deep philosophical conversations about the afterlife and things like that. And he changed his mind. So that's kind of what got me thinking about it, because you can feel one way, you could change your mind, or after you're gone, people could change their mind. And I was just kind of wondering, is there some spiritual reckoning that takes place if the wishes of the dearly departed are not honored?
okay. So let me ask this: do you guys, or I was going to say, do you guys think, or have you guys thought about this? Is this something that you would do? This is something that I've talked to my family about. I mean, have I've told them this is what I want. I want this. Don't do this. Blah blah blah. But another reason why I don't want to be buried, whatever, is funerals are expensive, and even though my dad was cremated, we had the wake, and my mom, I guess, for the lack of a better way to say it, she rented a casket where he was during the wake and what have you. That was $3,000. $3,000 for 4 hours. And then after that, well, I take that back. $3,000 for 6 hours, because the next day we had the funeral, and then after that, he was taken away and they cremated him. Now, for me, I think that's just a waste of money. I don't want my family spending that money. So, if you're going to have a service for me, cremate me first. I don't have to have the flowers and all this other stuff, and you do this and you do that. It's, to me, I want my family. That's money that, insurance money or whatever, money that you can keep for yourself, and you do something for yourself. But for me, just I don't need all of that. So that's where I could come at it. But they do say that over the last 10 years, more people are being cremated because of the financial costs. because the cost of funerals are so expensive that people are choosing to be cremated over um, burials. Let's see. GP says, "Glad I'm a veteran. My funeral is on the house." Okay. Okay. So GP, do you have a choice though, if being cremated or what do you call it, or being put in a casket? And also another thing that I found out. Another thing that I found out a lot. Just going through my father's funeral and everything. I found out that a lot of cities now, they don't have, if you go to the morgue and what have you, they don't have like a pauper's grave anymore, where they put your casket and you're like stacked, you know six in one, in one grave or whatever, because it's too expensive now. If you're not picked up by a loved one at the morgue, most cities now are cremating you, and then they're either they will take you to a place to bury your ashes that are in that cardboard box that Crazy Lady was talking about, or they have a designated place that supposedly has been blessed or whatever, that's only for this particular area, where they spread your ashes, because it's a lot cheaper to do that than to get the pine box and to bury you. And I know, y'all, we went from the superhero, like I said, talking about death. Um, okay. GP says, yes, you have options, but do have a will to have everything in order. Okay, got it. Got it. Um, Take DNA samples and burn. That's a good idea, Crazy Lady. You have to have that DNA sample. So, this is such a refreshing topic. Crazy Lady, Crucible, you have anything else you want to say? Because there is one thing that I wanted to bring up, but I was going to leave it for another show. But let's see. Brina says funerals can be uncomfortable too. Sometimes you have to play fake nice to people you haven't seen in years. Oh Lord. Oh, Marina, the fake nice. Yes, 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 yes. But did you know that crematoriums also have uh, um, chapels where you can have the service at the crematorium, and then have like a service where you can watch your loved one being put into the whatever. And did you know that you can do that? Yep. So, Crucible, you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just think it's interesting how we deal with death in terms of, like I said earlier, we don't have any other frame of reference, so no one's ever come back to tell us what's going on. So we have no choice but to apply our earthly concepts to something that's very much not earthly. And it's funny how we assume we're going to be aware of these things that are going on when we're not going to be going on. But I understand it completely. I go through the same thing. There are times I wonder, what's it going to be like? How's it going to be when I'm not here anymore? So everybody has these questions. But so we resort back to what we know and what we're comfortable with. And that is, like I just said, I'm kind of claustrophobic, so I don't want to be in a casket. Like I'm going to have any idea if I'm in a casket or an urn. Urns are smaller than caskets, so maybe I should rethink it. But I think it's an interesting philosophical and spiritual conversation, both for the people who are passing and the people who are left behind. It's something we're all going to have to deal with. As I get older, it gets closer, and I kind of wrestle with it a little bit. But I've always find it interesting to hear how different people approach the concept in terms.
But don't you think, but Crucible, don't you think that you do have a frame of reference? I mean, do you guys believe when people, like if they're on the operating table or something, or whatever happens where they die and they were brought back, don't you think that there's some frame of reference there in terms of crossing over? And Brina, I do have a healthcare directive. I did my healthcare directive about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
Can you repeat that? Solid. My phone rang real quick there.
I said, don't you think that people have a frame of reference if they're on the operating table or whatever, and they've died and they've come back and they said that they've seen the light or they crossed over? I mean, do you think that people really have seen a light or whatever? I mean, you
I
think they're
believe
true?
that. I believe that they believe that they've seen a light. Now, whether that's actually the light of God or spiritual being or something like that, I obviously, like, we can't prove that. What I have heard is that um, in the state of mind that you're in when you're possibly going to die, if you've come up close to death, that the state of mind that you're in produces certain effects like light and things like that, and sounds, that you're either imagining it actually is happening, or I don't know what the other explanation there could be. It could be God, but it could be some other physiological and psychological things that take place when you're in that state of mind that people confuse with a Holy Spirit, but it's actually just a function or a byproduct of their particular physical situation. That's what I've heard speculated about anyway.
So, do you think that when you die, that there'll be angels and it'll be the right hand of God and all that stuff? Like, do you think
No,
that? Do you believe in purgatory?
I do. I do. Yeah, I was raised a very, I wouldn't say a strict Catholic, but a pretty strict Catholic. Went to church and went to Catholic school and whatnot, and we were taught all that stuff. So yeah, I do believe in a waiting room, if that's the right way to put it, for people who are not, eternally damned, but are not exactly ready for the pearly gates yet. So yeah, I have bought into all of those different concepts. I do stop short of the angels and the horns and the singing and everything. I think that's a little fanciful. Um, that it's based on what we have been conditioned to believe, because we have to put the afterlife in more physical terms, otherwise nobody could relate to it. So yeah, I think that yeah, that's my thought.
Man, before I post this show, I'm gonna have to call it call it something else. All right, all right, so if you believe in purgatory, but you don't believe in the angels and stuff, then when you die, you really think that you're like caught between this place on whether, I mean, in that case, I mean, who makes the decision whether you're going up or you're going down? So if you believe in purgatory, then you would almost have to believe that there is a heaven or a better place or a not so good place.
Yeah, I do, and I think probably if you believe in God, and I'm using metaphysical terms to describe him, but he determines you're a good person, you have sinned, you may not be as contrite at death as he would have liked or she would have liked. We don't know if it's a man or a woman, and so they don't believe that you deserve to be in hell for eternity, but you're not exactly virtuous enough to go immediately into heaven. So it's kind of be this, you didn't quite clear the bar, the first time, but eventually you will, kind of like the Hall of Fame. I know you're not a sports fan, but you don't get in the first time, you try again, you try again, you try again, and eventually you get in. And the reason it takes so long is because they didn't quite meet the standard of the clear cut say, yeah, you're absolutely, it's no brainer. You have to be in on the first time we vote. And I think heaven and hell is a similar type of a thing. It's not all cut and dried, black and white. Oh yes, you're absolutely good person. People are complicated and they're messy. And so I think the same thing happens when we pass. God sorts everything through and says, okay, checking all the boxes. You deserve to go to heaven, just not right now.
I'm gonna comment, but I want to read what Brina said. She said definitely pivoted after that squirrel story. Yes, Brina, I know, big pivot, huge pivot. Okay, but okay. And Jeannie says it's like getting into the Hall of Fame. Sometimes it takes a few tries. Okay, but if you're dead, if you are dead, you are sitting here. Okay, so when you say a few tries, is it like you're going up for parole? You keep coming to ask God, well, now God, now he's like, no, not yet, not yet. It's like, so I'm just sitting in between this whatever.
I love the parole reference, but
I mean, I
Yeah,
mean, no, and
kind
I'm
of.
saying
Yeah.
the parole reference because GP says, it takes a few tries. So I'm just saying that if you're dead and if you believe in purgatory, when you say it takes a few tries, or GP says it takes a few tries, then and you're saying you deserve to be in heaven, but not now. Well, if I'm dead, why do I have to stay in between this in between heaven and hell? Either I'm going to be accepted into heaven or I'm going to go to hell. But to have to sit there, and then while I'm sitting there, am I watching everyone else either go to heaven or go to hell? But meanwhile, I'm in a room with a whole bunch of other people who are undecided. I
Well,
mean,
now,
and I
well,
mean,
well, now we're applying, the physical attributes again, but we're talking about our souls here. So there's a
right,
whole
but
ethereal, metaphysical, ethereal type of a thing that goes with that. So we wouldn't be sitting anywhere. Our souls would be suspended maybe someplace. I don't know how the whole thing works, but if you don't believe in purgatory, then you have to challenge everything, don't you? Why accept one premise but not the others?
I mean, and this is what I'm saying. And okay, and Damien says the question I always have is what is the standard to go in? I mean, purgatory. Okay, I can see if you go to purgatory, you just passed away, your soul goes to purgatory, and God may, again, whatever, whomever, whatever you think God is asking, well, did you do this? And well, why did you make this decision for this? Whatever. Then there are some people who are like the Jeffrey Dahmers, who, in my opinion, are going directly to hell. They may go to purgatory, but the decision, the guy's like, nope, sorry, you're not coming here. Meanwhile, Lucifer is saying, come on, Jeffrey, or come on, whoever, you're coming here, but I can't see yourself sitting there. I mean, for me, when I see purgatory, I see it as just a place where you're there for a very short amount of time when you've just passed away. You talk to God, whatever the decision is made, and that's it. It's not like you have to do a couple of tries and whatever. And like Damien says, what is the standard? What is the standard for me to get into heaven? Welcome, Woody, and welcome, RTM. So, Crucible, what would be the standard? And then
No.
hold on before you answer. I just want to read these real quick. D says, "Aren't you two talking about different religious beliefs?" And Damon says, "But then the Bible also says if you repent before you die, you have a green card for heaven." Okay, so Crucible.
Well, that was kind of what I was referring to when Damon, I'm sorry, I mispronounced the name there, said that you repent when you die. But my point was, what if you haven't sufficiently repented? What if God's not happy with with your level of contrition? And he says it's insufficient to meet my standard. I don't know what his standard is, but he's got a blueprint that ranks. Here's what people do to get in on the first try, and here's what they don't do to get in on the first try. And so I think it's one of those things that it only happens if you've insufficiently repented. And I'm just speculating. I have no clue, obviously, but so I think
Okay, so there's that possibility that someone could literally, from what you're saying, someone could sit in purgatory for years. Your
no.
soul could.
No, I don't think years. I think it's a brief period of time. I think we're talking about a benevolent God here. He's not punishing us. He's just reminding us that we could have done better to meet his standard the first time around. And not that it's going to be one of those things, well, keep that in mind for the next time. There's not going to be a next time. But I do think that it's his way of, I'm not saying cutting the wheat from the chaff or the other way around, but you've got to delineate somehow. You've got to have standards that, if they're met, just like in life, you aspire to a certain thing and you achieve certain things and you get them because you did things the right way. If you didn't do things the right way, it doesn't mean you still won't make the finish line. It may take you longer. It may be a more circuitous route. You may stumble a few times along the way, but eventually you get up and you get there. So not everybody is created equal. Their life experiences are created equal, and their levels of contrition aren't created equal. And I think God needs some system to sort that all out.
Okay. Judgment, welcome. Brina says, repent and actually change, though. Can't just keep doing the same thing over and over. I have a comment to make about that. And then Damien says, what if you die after confession? Religion is tricky. Um, Judgment says, blessed to everyone. He says, are you both talking about Catholicism or other religions don't have purgatory? I'm talking about I'm not talking about Catholics because I do, even though I'm not Catholic, I do believe that there's a purgatory when you first die, but it's very, very short. It's very, very short lived. Um, so to what Brina says, repent and actually change. Can't keep doing the same things over and over. Are you, Brina? Are you talking about while you're alive? Repent while you're alive, and fly right before you die. Okay, yes, while alive. Okay, so my next question, and Crucible, is you're the only one that has the mic. Everyone else, if you guys would add into the chat. While we're talking about God making a decision on whether you're going to join Him in heaven, whoever you think God is Lucifer the devil, whoever you think that the devil is he also at this table saying, well, wait, he did this and this, and he murdered this person, and he did this to his sister when she was little. He hit her doll or whatever. I mean, is Lucifer at this table where he's saying, well, okay, you don't want him now, but I'm gonna take him because he meets my standards for him.
No, that decision's already been made. He's got his own jurisdiction and he gets what God doesn't want. So what happens in purgatory is very different from what happens in hell. And this is according to Christianity and the Bible. What happens in purgatory is a purification process, not a punishment process. The two are very different. So what purgatory is designed for is you've done a lot of good things in your life. You didn't quite meet the standard that I have for first time entry, but we can put you through you're redeemable. If Lucifer is at the table, we haven't made the determination that you're redeemable yet. The fact that you're in purgatory means you're redeemable, and God is going to put you through a purification process, not a punishment process. And when that brief period is over, then you'll be allowed to enter heaven. So I don't think Lucifer, he had his shot. I think once by the time God gets a hold of it, the decision's been made.
Interesting. Yeah, we went from talking about superheroes to dead squirrels to being buried to purgatory and heaven and hell. And Brina says, I love it. Oh, Lord have mercy. I mean, when I have these conversations with my friends, or even here on Podbean, and when I re-listen, especially on Podbean, and because like I say, I always listen to the playback of the shows, and it's interesting. It's interesting, like Crucible said, you're listening to what people are saying, the things that people say. I wish that in the playback when you played it back, that like YouTube, Podbean gave you the chat, because I think a lot of things you guys say in the chat are very, very relevant, and I try to read everybody. But yeah, guys, I this has been an interesting show. This has been an interesting show. So I don't know. Crucible, you want to add anything else?
Well, wherever I end up going, I hope it's going to be to the right place, to heaven. But if I do go, when I go, I want to come back as a superhero. Is that allowed?
Well, I said Wonder Woman, so hey,
I've always been a Batman fan, so I'll go with that.
Batman is. I see now we're going back to superheroes again. Batman is boring. Batman Batman's boring me. Always has been. Never been a Batman fan.
But he's got a sweet car.
I think there are better cars that are better than Batman. I don't know. I never
No, but
never.
Rena just said it in the chat. He had a lot of cool toys, lots of cool, and a killer cave with an automatic door. Try
Oh,
that.
Killer K with automatic door. Yeah, but he had to live underground. I mean, I want to be somewhere with light and bright and sunshine. Nah, that Batman. So, guys, that's all I have today. Let's see, not messing around with one of those bugs underground. Exactly. See, Batman is like being buried alive in his bat cave. So, guys, I am going to. If you guys were here at the beginning, I'm my intro music that I play. I'm gonna let it play the entire. I'm gonna let the entire song play at the very beginning, and I'm going to start taking you guys out with different music. So I know Dee asked for the Isley Brothers, but I can only get I can only get stuff that is not copyright protected, or else I'm not able to publish, and they'll take my stuff off. So, and I don't want to do that. So, but I am going to see what I can do. I'm going to see what I can do. But okay, so Crucible, any last words of wisdom, or that was your last word of wisdom? You're Batman in the cave in the car.
Yeah, I think it was a good. I mean, sometimes the good topics, come about completely in a serendipitous sort of a way. They're unintended, but they turn out to be good conversations. So I think this was a good conversation.
Well, like I said, when I publish, I am going to change the title somewhat. But and Ibrina, I know you loved it, and I love that you love it. And everyone, thank you for liking the show. And Blunt Ninja found it interesting, so everyone, thank you. So, on that note, guys, today is Thursday, which is my Friday. I'll see you guys on Monday. I know y'all are sick of me saying that, but I say it. So wherever you are in the world, have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you on Monday. Let me make sure I get this song right. Okay, here we go. This is called "Come with Me." Um, Hope you guys like it. And if you guys don't like the music, guys, y'all tell me too. Okay, everyone, and that's it. I hope to see you on next Monday. Bye.